EVs don't have any range, go and get a hybrid. They're incredibly efficient, they go as far as you ever need. I'm Dave, welcome to Dave Takes It On. Well, that's the hype. Now the reality is, it's just another Dieselgate. Lies, damn lies, and everything but the truth. They've been caught again. Okay, let's go back to principles. Petrol and diesel, we know. We've had them for over 100 years. Yeah, no, not personally. You can drive where you want. Petrol stations are everywhere. Fill up in 5 minutes. Well, not quite, but let's leave that one for now. EVs also, they're obvious now. We've had them for about a decade. They have much less range, typically about 200 mile. Charging is a nightmare for most, so they tell us. Broke chargers, queues, nowhere near enough. You've heard it all. So the magic solution, let's just mix the two. Well, this came about originally with Toyota, surprisingly, and the launch of the Prius. This has a smaller petrol motor and a small battery. The petrol engine powers the wheels, while the battery powers an electric motor that usually connects via the gearbox also to the wheels. Hence you can use either or both. But the choice is automatic. You don't control it. It's pre-programmed. You don't decide what you're going to use. Now, in theory, if you're just tootling around town, always below 20 miles an hour, the car will generally select the battery. Silent, economical, non-polluting. Out on the open road, the motor fires up and away you go. You can go as far as you want. Seemed a dream. And they caught on really big time. Now fast forward to today and you really have only two different versions. Well, the first of these is what they call a plug-in hybrid. You can only charge the battery by plugging it in. The batteries are typically tiny, about 15 kilowatt hours, and good for maybe 15 or 20 mile. Well, this is actual fine because the average UK motorist drives 20 mile a day or so. So theoretically, you can use the battery as long as they plug it in every night. Well, the other type is a self-charging hybrid. These use a bit of regenerative braking and the petrol engine to recharge the battery as you drive along. I am absolutely shocked at the popularity of these. Take a Honda Civic. These used to be little family hatchbacks, very low, 18 to 20,000 pound range, like the Vauxhall Astra. But the latest Astra hybrids are starting at 30,000 and the Honda Civics hybrids 35,000. These are not cheap hatchbacks anymore. For that price, you could get a Mercedes A180 or A200 petrol, full petrol. Who would choose an Astra over a Mercedes? Anyway, that aside, these are not cheap cars. So, might they still be worth it? Well, if they're significantly more efficient than the petrol version, they might be. So, are they? And the answer is no, not really. Yeah, they are more efficient, but not enough to justify the additional cost of buying one. They are considerably more expensive. But the scandal just unearthed by the University of Graz in Switzerland reveals the shocking truth. Dieselgate is not dead and buried, it's just switched to hybrids. Their findings, independent findings on behalf of Europe, find that in the real world, hybrids emit a simply staggering 350% more pollution than the official tests. How can that be? Well, to me, I've always said the tests are wrong. Let's take a bog standard hybrid. It's stated range of 20 mile. But as all EV critics point out, they got no chance of getting this far. Come back on you, particularly not in the winter. 10 to 15 mile is much more realistic. So on a hypothetical commute of 15 mile, you can do some of that on the electric motor. But once you get above 20 mile an hour, it switches automatically to petrol. So you arrive at work and guess what? Your battery's flat. How are you going to get home? Okay, no brainer. You drive using the petrol engine. But here, you hit a number of snags. Now, your hybrid now has a tiny petrol engine and a massive heavy battery and a heavy motor to carry around. Did you know that Vauxhall Astra petrol hybrid weighs almost exactly the same as a Tesla Model 3? 1,698 kilos versus 1,740. Astras in my day weighed in around 1,000 or 1,200 kilos. They've put on a lot of weight recently. Yeah. Back to the economy. Battery's just dead weight for the return journey, so your economy suffers. So going out, you probably get good consumption. Coming back, it's not very good. Also, if you get stuck in stop-start traffic on the morning commute, which is really common, your battery will be flat in no time, well before you get to work. while you're still in the queue, you're going to finish up even the journey there on petrol. But of course, the tests do not simulate that. They do not simulate any real-world journey. In fact, it turns out they are total fiction for two critical reasons. Many people can't charge at home. We get told this all the time. Shock horror. It's the argument everyone uses against us. Applies to hybrids. In fact, I would suggest that most people who cannot charge at home would be more attracted to a hybrid than a full battery electric vehicle. If you can't charge at home, these batteries go flat on the first trip and remain flat until you go to a public charger and pay to charge it. And any guesses how many people bother? It's what they call a non-zero answer. That means some people. I don't know. I'd suggest an awful lot of people charge the car once or twice, then just carried on using the petrol engine. That could be a scary high number. Now, those that do pay to charge the battery, does anyone take the cost of charging into the equation? Well, of course not. You shout that we have to pay 79p to charge our EVs, but quite amazingly, when you hybrid drivers have to charge yours and pay 79p, you keep quiet. Well, second, as we stated, most commutes will flatten the battery one way, won't even get there, so it contributes nothing but dead weight on the remainder of the journey and the return. Do the tests measure the simulated return journey? Well, of course not. Well, now to overcome this problem, manufacturers designed a self-charging hybrid. Uses a bit of regenerative braking and the rest from the petrol engine to keep your battery topped up. You never need to visit a charger or plug in at home. Well, great! But you're now using a petrol engine, which runs typically about 20-25% efficient, to charge your battery. Wow, a greater waste of energy I've never come across. Burn petrol to charge a battery to be used only below 20 miles an hour, at which speed the regen braking is pretty much useless. And these are advertised as a very, I totally give up it. Are people really that gullible? Let me explain. Hybrids are dearer than petrol to buy. It's a fact. Honda Civic hybrid starts at 35k, Toyota Corolla 30k. A petrol Mercedes A180 is 29 grand. A BMW Series 1 petrol is 28 grand. A Hyundai Tucson is 26 grand. These are all cheaper than a hybrid. Hybrids offer minimal improvement in economy unless, and it's a very big unless you charge it every single day when you get home. Every single day. In which case, why don't you just buy a cheaper EV with 250 mile range like a MG4, Hyundai Kona? Then you wouldn't need to plug it in every single night. It would probably last you about a week on a single charge. Duh! Answer me honestly. Is it just me? Am I being totally stupid? Why pay £35,000 for a hybrid that you have to plug in each night? When for £10,000 less, yeah, you heard, £10,000 less, you can get a petrol version or perish the thought, a full EV like an MG4 or Kona that you don't need to plug in every night, once a week. Except someone might choose to pay 79 pence to charge them, the ones with money to burn, but you have £10,000 spare in the bank. That's an average 8,000 mile a year. That 10,000 you've saved will run your EV paying 79p a kilowatt hour for, 6.5 years? And really, do I have to spell this out for anyone? Your hybrid also runs on petrol. And even at 60 mile per gallon, which they never do, that's going to cost you £900 a year every single year. Really? Is that what you choose? Voluntarily? Nobody twisting your arm? You pay £10,000 more, £35,000, then you pay £900 a year in petrol plus the cost of charging instead of £25,000 and £1,500 per year charging if you take time to hunt down the dearest EV chargers in the UK with an EV. The real life price is nearer 65p, which drops that down to about £1,300. The £400 difference will be snatched back by your greedy dealer for servicing, which is mandatory. That means you can't skip paying it or they invalidate your warranty. Now, what about that once or twice a year long road trip? I'm not taking my EV on a road trip. Excellent. Don't. If you really don't fancy range anxiety, just go and hire a car, preferably petrol powered, using just a fraction of that 10 grand you saved. You can get a Mercedes C or E-Class for well under 500 quid for a week, or a Range Rover for about 800 quid. You still have plenty of change from your 10 grand. Oh, go the whole hog. Go and rent a Bentley Bentayga or for 3,800, or an Aston Martin DB11 Volante for just over 4 grand. You'll still have change. Sorry, but a hybrid really does not make any sense at all. If you want economy, buy a cheaper petrol car. Forget about charging altogether. If you can charge at home and get ridiculously cheap off-peak rates, 7.5 pence a kilowatt hour, go and get an EV and plug it in every night. Both options will be considerably cheaper than a hybrid. If you want to have to charge every single night, get an EV. And if you choose one of the cheaper options, just go and hire a car for your annual road trip. I'm Dave. Well, thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, click the like button. It really does help a young channel like ours. If you want to see more of the videos, please subscribe and click the notification bell, then we can notify you every time we release a video. For those who want to go a little bit further, we have a Patreon membership. Details for that down below. You get some extra goodies. And thank you very much for all the Patreon members and a couple of new ones this month. You'll get a mention in the description down below. Thanks very much for joining. Your help is absolutely invaluable to us. It allows us to go out and do all this filming for you. I'm Dave.